Well, hey everyone, welcome to Bus Stop Boys. This is our first episode. We're the hosts. I'm Zach. I've been watching movies seriously, I would say, for about 15 years. Me and Zoran are both AMC Stubs members, so super proud
Hey.
of that. Zoran, you want to intro yourself?
Yeah, I'm Zaran. I've been watching movies regularly, seriously, for around, like 15 years. But me and Zach, we actually lived in San Francisco, like in 2018. And we used to go watch movies all the time because we were both AMC stub members and SF. And we
Hey.
both ended up in New York now. And the pattern continues. And we've been watching movies together ever since. So, you know, there's like a nice little evolution of our thing. We get to talk about it and, like, get our creative juices flowing, something like that. But yeah, what's it called? We just wanted to do a quick recap of the our favorite movies from this year, and also just talk about 2023 as a whole in terms of movies. Right.
Yeah, that's right. How did you feel about last year for the
This is
movies?
one of my favorite years of movies. This is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do this. It was like I felt like every
Yeah.
month this year there was like one movie I really enjoyed, or yeah, like really enjoyed, or I feel like just the heavy hitters were they hit. And with the writer strike next year, I think we're gonna really appreciate 2023 even more.
I think this might have been the best year for movies since 1999. There were just so many good movies. Barbenheimer met the
Yeah.
hype, and like just one story I was thinking about the other day. The weekend that Barbie came out, I think we talked about this. It was like quiet in New York City. Like I was walking around Williamsburg, and it was like unusually quiet on a
Yeah.
Friday night. And I was talking to my doorman, like, well, "What's going on? Does something happen or whatnot?" And then later I realized everyone's just watching Barbie. Like it was that kind of year. It was like that big a
Yep.
moment.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this year went ham, went crazy for
Hmm.
movies.
No, 100% agreed. And like one thing I realized was just that they did too much over the summer, where it was like every weekend three movies came out at the same time. And like normally it's like okay, that's cool, I get to watch more movies, but it was annoying if you wanted to watch like a movie in IMAX because they were only keeping IMAX for like one particular movie. And so if you didn't watch one movie within their opening weekend, you cannot watch it in IMAX anymore unless you have re-releases like we're having in 2024.
Yeah, you tell me about holdovers, so I was like, oh, let me just go see it in movies. But then AMC didn't even have holdovers anymore. It was just super stacked, and then, like I think some movies like kind of got like lost underneath like the commotion up top, like Blue Beetle or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think in a normal year I would totally have gone to see both those movies, but like I just didn't because there's other movies
Oh
happening.
yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, what do you feel about this like downturn in comic book movies?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there was some saturation. And like we're gonna talk about some of our favorite movies this year, and I think we both have some comic book movies pop up in our lists. But I know for me, I was like, for some of the more formulaic movies, I was having trouble remembering what the movie's about. Like a month later after watching
Yep.
it, um, it felt. I'm sure Disney felt Marvel just started becoming more like a piggy bank or like a bank than like focusing on like being creative and the creators. So some part of me feels like they had it coming, and another part is like, dang, like where do we go? Where do we go from here? And this is like years in the making. We all saw Eternals, and that didn't quite meet the mark, and that's kind of where I think like we knew we were at the peak or just past peak superhero,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, now we're
Like
here.
I agree, and like I think for me, what it felt like before was before Endgame. There was this thing where everyone went like, we have to go
Yeah.
watch the next Marvel movie. Like we don't want to get spoiled or anything like that. And I feel like Endgame really was that like conclusion where everyone just felt satisfied. They were like, you know what, like this is a great ending to like a great like a decade long like experience that people have had. And now after that, it's like it's slowed down a little bit and oversaturated at the same time. So it just feels like it's to go watch a Marvel movie, you need more than it's just another Marvel movie. Like you need to actually put in quality. The general public isn't going to just watch it because it's a Marvel movie. They want the quality. They want some another reason to go watch it at this point. But yeah, if you have like that creativity,
Yeah.
like if there's something creative about the movie, then people want to go watch it. And I think that's going to come up in both of our top lists.
Yeah, here's a quick question. Like looking back, how much of Marvel Phase One was just Robert Downey Jr.?
But that was like cool at the time. That was like the big thing at the time. That was
Yeah.
enough to go watch the movie at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he came back this year in a big way, in my opinion. So I think that'll show up on the list too.
Probably. Oh man. Anything else you felt about 2023?
If you're watching this and like now it's 2024, I would say like savor the memories. Like I don't know when this will happen again next time. This is a pretty unique
Yep,
year.
yep. I feel like this is also the year I went to the movies the most in a long time. probably ever actually, except that one summer of MoviePass where like every day you could just
Yeah.
go. Actually, A-List kind of made up for that too, but yeah, that was one of the greatest experiences, just paying $10 and seeing a bunch of movies and no one caring.
And then, like, I don't know how much you watched, like, television or streaming, but, like, I think there is some sense that streaming also, like, crested, like, this past year. A lot of big TV shows, like Succession and Barry, kind of just ended. So I think people are looking for new things to watch, and a lot of that was in movies, not in streaming.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big deal for 2023
Yeah.
as well.
And also another point I want to bring up was that because of what like HBO Max and Disney Plus did, where they were bringing movies like day and date, HBO Max did that before, while Disney Plus was doing like, for certain movies they were doing like that $30 premium ticket thing, and then every other movie they were bringing in like 2 months later after it came off of theaters. So I feel like less and less people were going to the movies after that because they're like, oh, it's going to be on Disney Plus in like 2 months, and I don't really feel a need to go watch this in theaters anymore. I feel like the box office was also down because it was so oversaturated. Like Mission Impossible did so bad, Marvels did so bad, The Flash did so bad. There's a lot of movies that were like you would expect to have done pretty great, but just flopped left and right. But yeah.
Yeah, I honestly forgot these movies came out, but like,
Right, yeah.
that is a testament to like how oversaturated it was. Yeah.
And how great the year was too.
Right. There was a lot of good original movies. Like it wasn't all franchises, which again is like it's like very different from recent memory.
Yep.
So
No, now that we've talked about how great the movies have been, I guess we can start talking about some specifics.
let's do it.
Zach, you want to mention a few of your honorable mentions for this year?
Yeah, let's do it. And first off, before I get into it, these are just my rankings. I haven't seen every single movie out there, and my opinion is just my opinions. So I'm not infallible, and I'm looking forward to a good discussion. And I know we differ in the opinions too.
I feel like we're
nothing wrong with
pretty
that.
different.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. First one I'll mention is Elemental on the honorable mentions.
Okay.
So I'll be honest. I didn't actually finish this movie,
Okay.
but the first like 2 Thursdays I saw with my girlfriend were pretty good. And yeah, I know that it got a slow start for a Pixar movie, and this is also a movie that kind of flew under the radar because there are just so many other good things going on this year. But yeah, I thought it had some humor and a good message, so I'll put an honorable mention.
Yeah, that's actually going to be in my top 10, so I'll bring that up more
Oh, wow.
when it comes
Okay,
up.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
I did finish the movie, though,
Yeah.
so maybe your opinion will change when you
Okay. Maybe I gotta watch it. Maybe this like final act was just amazing. I just totally missed it. Okay.
I would say definitely finish it. But yeah, we can discuss it after that. Do you want me to go through one
Yeah.
of mine?
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
For me, one of my honorable mentions was actually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. So
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. The humor was great. Like the animation was awesome. You didn't watch it, or you did?
I didn't see it, but I want to. Like, did I tell you the story? I like ran into Seth Rogen in Nolita.
No way. Okay.
I was actually walking. I was walking in the street, and then I almost literally ran into a person. We look at each other, and I look at this guy. I'm like, why do I feel like I know him? He's wearing like yellow glasses, like just kind of like walking fast. And I'm like, wait, that's Seth Rogen. And so I'm like, sup? And then he just looks away and walks.
Probably didn't want
he
any
wasn't
attention.
feeling any
Yeah,
fan time.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But now I feel like I gotta support his work.
I got
So
you.
I gotta check
Yep,
that movie
yep.
out.
I will say, like, the animation style is beautiful. Like, they really grab that comic book.
Hmm.
And one of those things I really appreciate, and, like, I think one of my favorite movies of all time is Into the Spider-Verse. So I love that change that, that movie brought and making people a lot more creative with how they do the animation styles. They're, like, really going for it nowadays rather than that, that Pixar, clean face, everything's very clean and cartoony looking.
Yeah.
So I'm liking this, not cartoony looking, but more realistic looking, I meant to say. While now we're seeing a little more, they're doing these risks and not making everything just very, photorealistic style and everything like that. But outside of the animation style, which was absolutely beautiful, the humor is really good. One thing I really liked, and what they said that they did was, the kids were actually kids. These are actual teenagers, doing the voices, doing the personality. Yeah.
Oh.
What Seth Rogen.
That's
yeah,
refreshing.
right.
Yeah.
Like it's not 30-year-olds pretending to be teenagers at the end of the day. No, one cool thing they did was Seth Rogen put them all in the recording booth and let them just like riff off of each other to do like like really get that chemistry going between the two, and it really shows within the movie too. And like one other thing, Jackie Chan is Splinter, by the way, in it.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to see this. Like Jackie Chan's in
Oh
this
yeah,
movie?
and he kills it. I think he's the highlight of the movie for me. Even with everyone else doing great,
Wow.
Ice Cube did great. But Jackie Chan stole the show with his voice acting, and you could tell that a lot of the moves Splinter was doing was came from Jackie, like the very goofy,
Yeah.
like stunts, where he looks like he's almost about to fall over, but he's in control. There's like a humor to it, like a Rush Hour kind of humor, action humor to it that I really appreciated.
Oh yeah, and by the way, like Rush Hour was on Netflix I think this year, and that was also a movie I was like checking out like while I was streaming last year.
Nice.
So I kind of lumped that into 2023. Speaking of Seth Rogen, I'll give a quick shout out to Super Mario Bros. Movie. It wasn't like the best movie of the year, but Seth Rogen was funny. There's a really funny scene in the beginning with the dog, which I really love. Jack Black is like, just doing his thing as Bowser. He's singing, which is like cool. He's showing that range. And I'm just excited for what else Nintendo puts out there. This movie was really successful financially, and so I'm sure other movies could be also financial hits, but maybe also some good stories too. So gotta give a shot at that movie.
Oh yeah, honestly, yeah, Mario was pretty great. And the thing is that, weird confession to make, I wasn't very big into Mario growing up because I only had like PlayStations. I did have a Game Boy, so I did have Mario Advance,
Okay.
but that was the only real Mario
Yeah.
game I played. So I never had that nostalgia
Oh, wow.
to it, but I love the little callbacks they did for everything, like Super Mario Brothers, Mario Kart, everything like that. So I guess that's why it's probably not in my honorable mentions, because I don't have that nostalgia factor that everyone else does. But
Sure.
I always have good memories of Mario, of course. It was more of a party game for me whenever I went to like someone else's house and everything like that. But for me, I usually just had like PlayStation and then Xbox after that, so I never really connected with it as much. But
Oh, in our household, it was just Nintendo. GameCube, N64, Super NES, DS, Game Boy.
Oh, wow.
It was a Mario childhood. So if you grew up in that like environment, like this is just a cool movie just for nostalgia and seeing all the characters.
no, Jack Black went crazy with it. He killed it. Chris Pratt wasn't
Yeah.
bad. Like, I know there was a lot of criticism about him.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he did a good job with it. Also, there was a nice little callback. Did you know that in the beginning, like the guy who was fixing the arcade machine in the beginning, that was the original voice of Mario. Yeah.
No way, I didn't know that.
That was a nice little Easter
Wow.
egg they put in for everyone.
Cool. I missed that. That's very cool.
Yeah. One I'm fairly sure is in your top 10, but was in my honorable mentions. And I have no other reason for this being in my honorable mentions other than this is just a great movie. But like the entire year was just great movies. So I had to some had to come out of the top
Sure.
10. It was Past Lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
I love
Yeah.
the movie. Like I'm assuming you're going to be talking more about it, so I'll let it be for there. But it's a great movie,
Sure,
and
sure,
I
yeah.
don't really have much more criticisms besides other movies just resonated more with me this year.
We'll talk. I think I also have some honorable mentions that are in the same boat. But yeah, we'll talk about Past Lives soon.
Sweet. What you got next, Zach?
Yeah. I mean, so there were some all right action movies this year. Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible. But one which for me just like beat out those two was Creed 3. Beginning of the year, Michael B. Jordan, just doing his thing. I have to confess, I haven't seen the other Creed movies, but this one had like a good story. Like I like the acting, and I kind of feel like more people should have given a chance. So I think this is one that kind of flew under the radar.
Directed
too.
by Michael B. Jordan, right? I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. He's like took over the
Very
franchise.
Cool, very cool. I remember he did I haven't watched it yet, so keep that in mind. It might have ended up on my honorable mentions, but I heard that he took
Yeah.
a lot of inspiration from the animes he used to watch when he was a kid into it. So that was. Do you see it when you watch it, or do you notice anything like that?
Yeah, I'd almost want to hear specifically what he drew in. For me, this was just a good redemption story. It's the classic Rocky. He was out, but they brought him back in, and there's a new guy on the block who's evil and powerful, and just find a way to beat him. So I'd have to watch again for the anime references, but I thought it was just a good action movie.
Very cool. I watched the first two. The first one's amazing. Also, I actually think
Everyone says that,
I think I
yeah.
like the second one more than the first one, though, personally. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So what I really I used to watch the Rocky movies when I was a kid, so
Cool.
that's why I really liked it. And 1 and 2 is they have Sylvester Stallone in it, and it's Rocky, mentoring Creed. And Rocky 1 I really appreciated because Sylvester Stallone really he killed it in that role. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but he has his own little character
Yeah.
arc, which I really
Yeah.
liked. And I like that even though it was called Creed, they gave Rocky his own storyline and everything like that. They did the same thing in Creed 2 as well, but no, Sylvester Stallone absolutely killed it in that first movie. What I'm really sad about is that apparently he didn't show up in the third movie because whatever studio owns Creed and everything like that, it kind of screwed Sylvester Stallone over, and now he's not.
Oh
Yeah,
no
now
way.
he's not willing to participate
Okay.
in any of the Rocky franchise movies, especially considering he created it and everything like that. So that was kind of sad to hear, but I know I'll watch it eventually. I think I
no.
saw it on Prime before, so that might be next.
I think in the movie he passed away or is dead or something, and I just kind of assumed
No.
that happened in the earlier two movies. Oh wow!
No,
So, okay, well,
Michael
that
B. Jordan
sucks.
said that he's not dead or something like that. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he just wasn't even a part of it. So I think in my head I just thought that was the case. Okay.
Right,
Wow.
right. Yeah, no, I feel like they would. I
Interesting.
feel like because I think Michael B. Jordan also has a good relationship with Sylvester Stallone, so no, he's not gonna
Cool.
kill him off inside of the third movie without off screen and everything like that too. But yeah, definitely watch the first two. If you really enjoyed the third one, I feel like you'll really enjoy the first two as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Another honorable mention I have is what's the name? Renfield. I don't know if you heard about that movie. Like,
No, did we talk about it? Tell
it's
me
about
more Renfield.
it's with Nicholas Holt and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is Dracula, and they talk about Renfield.
Oh, cool.
And like, it's really funny how they do it. They kind of make it seem like Renfield's in like an abusive relationship, and like Nicolas Cage, Dracula is basically the abuser. But it's hilarious. It's the guy from Parks and Rec. Did you watch Parks and Rec? I
No,
want
I
to say it's
didn't.
Ben Schwartz. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Ben Schwartz. But Ben Schwartz was hilarious in the movie. I loved him in Parks and Rec and everything like that. So he kind of took that personality here as well. The cast was great. It was a really, really funny movie, like extremely funny movie with great action that I did not expect from this kind of movie. But Nicolas Cage hams it up as Dracula. Like he really went 10 out of 10. I'm going to ham the crap out of this. Like this is going to be like the corniest thing I can do. But he executed it flawlessly at the end of the day.
That's so great. I don't want to spoil my most disappointing list, but there's a Nicolas Cage movie in there, so maybe I have to watch Renfield to like
Offset that?
redeem 2023
Yeah.
and Nick Cage. Yeah, exactly.
Nicholas Holt got not nominated. I think he got casted as Lex Luthor in the new Superman movie.
Oh no way! Yeah, the last Nicholas Holt movie I've seen was he was in The Menu, right?
Yeah.
He's like the guy. He's like really into like food
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
brings Anya Taylor-Joy along. Okay, that's the last Nicholas Holt movie.
Oh, he
I
did a
saw.
great job in that movie too. That was in my top 10 last year.
Yeah, he did a good one.
In my top 10 from
Yeah.
last year, he was a big part of that reason too. He was great as that douchebag, like pretentious kind of person, you know, who doesn't have any skills of their own. Like he really nailed that role together.
So it's funny we're talking about this now. I feel like this is going to be a stretch for like just ride with me for a little bit. I feel like this year's The Menu was for me like Leave the World Behind. There's a bunch of different characters. They're all like supposed to mean like different parts of like American society, and so that's next on my list for honorable mentions. I know this wasn't not everyone liked this movie, but I kind of like the vagueness. Like this kind of feels like this actually happened, and communications went out. I think a lot of things would be pretty vague, and yeah, like I was kind of a sucker a little bit for the message too. Like we all gotta look out for each other, and I didn't mind that like there wasn't a concrete resolution. My only complaint was like I didn't like the deer scenes, like all the deer like surrounding
right.
Julia Roberts and other characters. I thought that was a little strange, but I kind of didn't have expectations for this movie going into it, and kind of liked it. So that's an honorable mention for me.
Nice. I didn't hate it. I'm not gonna say I hated it. It was like
Yeah.
I liked it. Like, and you know it's Sam Ismail, so like I love Mr. Robot. Apparently this is
right.
in the same universe as Mr. Robot. Fun fact. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no way.
They mentioned it.
I
They
didn't
were
know
like,
that.
oh, that incident in New Jersey. So somehow it's in the same universe. Once I found that out, I was a little more disappointed than before. But because it's him. Yeah.
no.
Like if I
Yeah,
knew it was just
yeah,
like an independent filmmaker who made this, or like, you know, it was like Netflix just did this, I would have been like, oh, you know, that had good promise. But I'm like, oh, dude, he's done better. Like, I hope this isn't people's first like exposure to what he's done in the past, you know. But I
Yeah.
still do. I did like the movie. I'm not gonna say I hated the movie. Like, I feel like it has a lot of potential. If they do like a sequel, that would be very cool to see what they could do. But I do like that. What I really appreciate about that movie is that I'm huge into physical media. I love buying like Blu-rays and stuff to keep around. And that movie at the ending showed
Okay.
why it's so important, even though it's a very crazy out there scenario.
You hear that, Zayn? I hear the wife. Get the DVD. It's okay.
Very true. Like, dude, I have the Friends box collection straight up with me, so very good to have. We should all have a box
Mad
collection
respect.
of the Friends seasons.
It's like a box collection of Friends, maybe like The Sopranos
Mm-hmm.
as well, and The Office. I feel like if you have those three, it's like you're good to
Yeah,
go.
you could.
for apocalypse.
The world goes down, like you'll still be fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right.
Outside of that, I'm not sure if I have any other honorable mentions in my head. Just trying to think about it.
Yeah, I have a couple more.
Yeah, go for it.
So these next three, I think, like you said earlier, like at different points in time, they were in my top 10. It's just there's only 10, and these three are almost like like maybe tomorrow I just wake up and put them in my top 10 or whatnot.
Depends on the day. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, it just depends on the day or whatnot. Just like how I'm feeling. Maybe speak to someone and I notice something different about the movie and that puts it back in. One of them was Barbie. What a great movie and like what a great experience.
Barbie's
Definitely
on
my top 10. For
Barbie's
a
on my
while.
honorable mention too. I forgot about that. So I guess we can discuss it. That's good. That's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I feel like the soundtrack has some real gems. So we're talking about the full experience. You get dressed up, you go with your significant other. After the movie, you can jam after the tunes. So like I thought that was a big plus. People dislike the Will Ferrell scenes. I was happy seeing Will in action. I see him once a year in Elf, like that's it. So seeing him out and about was like cool to see him there. Seeing Kate McKinnon as like the evil like elder Barbie was also like a nice treat because I don't think she's on SNL anymore, and she was so great on SNL back in the day. So for me, like at the very least, Barbie met the hype. Like I know there's like a lot of hype. You got the really good director, Greta Gerwig, and for me, it met the hype, and it's a really good summer
Yeah.
blockbuster.
I completely forgot that Barbie's not on my top 10. Like that good thing you brought that up because
Yeah.
it was on my honorable mentions, just missing my top 10. And
Yep.
the only reason it's not in my top 10 is because there's a very similar movie to that in my top 10, and you know we both watched it, so you kind of know what I'm talking
Okay.
about. But no, the
Yeah.
music was great, and I think it's one of the funny. It's for sure one of the funniest movies I watched this year, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
the Matchbox 20 song is hilarious when they do it. You had what's it called? The Ken song was amazing, and I feel like that stole the show. Oh my God, do you want to talk about this
Iconic,
whole drama
yeah.
with the whole Oscars stuff?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel weird that Margot and Greta didn't get nominated. I feel like maybe give one or the other. Because from what I understand, these two are the ones who really made this movie possible. It was like Margot, this idea was sitting around for a very long time. And then finally Margot picks it up, and then she puts on Greta Gerwig as director, and then we're off to the races. So for me, it felt weird having either nominated. It was, I agree with some people, it was kind of strange that like America Ferrera got a nomination. I guess props to her, like she had one amazing scene, and like that scene
she
got a
nailed it, yeah.
nomination. So yeah. Like, like a little strange, but like good for her for like just nailing that one scene, and that's good enough for a nom. And yeah, I thought Ryan did fine. Like I wouldn't have expected like an Academy Award nomination for it. Like you said, the music was like that song with Ken. There's like so many good Ken
Yeah.
moments. So I'm not trying to hate or anything. That's the way I felt about
Yeah,
it.
the Greta Gerwig not getting a nomination was very weird for me too.
Yeah.
What's it called? I didn't watch a few other movies, I think, in the Best Director thing, so I can't tell. So I'm not going to judge fully. I do understand why Margot didn't, though, because for me personally, like, I watched most of those movies. I think I watched all those movies that had Best Actress nominations, and I don't
Yeah.
think I can say Margot did better than all five of them. But it's purely because it's just like they all crushed it this year. I feel like lead actress was by far one of the like highest quality you could ever find, and I would feel really hurt if anyone was to be replaced by Margot in that list right now. And it's really, really tough to say that because no, she did a killer job. But you know what? Like if they do win Best Picture, like she as a producer will go up. She will give the speech at the end of the day. So that's kind of nice at the end of, you know what I mean? And you know, she
Sure.
as producer, she definitely made a lot of money off of Barbie. So I hope, you know, it's like that Zombieland meme where like he's crying with Woody Harrelson's crying with the, you know, $100 bills.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, just swipe down the sweat.
No, but she did a great job, and like it is a great movie, and it was hilarious. It had sad moments as well. Like I did not expect myself to be laughing so much in a Barbie movie, but Greta killed it. I also watched Lady Bird recently because of watching Barbie, and I'm like, wow, this is a great movie too. At the end of the day,
Super solid. Yeah, I remember watching that when it came out.
love it. Yeah. Oh yeah, what else is on your list for honorable mention?
Yeah, another one. Again, like I'm saying it, I'm like I can't believe this didn't make my top 10. Like now I'm like double like I'm like questioning myself. I had Poor Things and honorable mentions, so I think we can talk about it. I assume it's in your top 10, so we can talk about more then. But it's not. I'm not hating. It was just there's so many good movies this year. It just fell out. And then the last movie, John Wick 4. We can talk about it when you bring it up. But I had a great time with this movie. And,
What was the movie you mentioned before, John Wick?
Yeah. Poor Things.
Poor Things. Oh, okay, yeah, we'll be talking about Poor Things. We'll be talking about both of them later.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
both in my top 10. But
Okay,
I totally
cool,
get
cool.
it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
I think they're both
Yeah.
like, well, I'll look through it. I'm pretty sure they're not like top of the top. Poor Things might be, but we'll see later on in this. Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah, both movies are in my top 10. I think Yeah. So do you want me to start my top 10 then? I'm out of honorable mentions on my end.
Yeah, go
All
for
right.
it.
So for me, number 10 is actually called Talk to Me. Have you watched that?
Talk to me. No, I don't think I saw
All right.
that.
So Talk to Me is about it's a horror movie, and again, like I
Okay.
think this is a good thing to remind people. It's like the top 10 is a very subjective list. For me, I love horror movies. I love animation movies.
yeah.
So you might be seeing more of those as these come along in the top 10. But Talk to Me
Yeah.
was great. It's a A24 movie, so very independent. It's an Australian movie as well. So
Cool.
what I really enjoyed about it was just that it was a very original horror movie than you see normally. It has a nice metaphor to it where, you have so the premise of the movie is that they're at a teen party and everything like that. And one of the friends, they have this like cement hand. And if you hold onto the hand, you can communicate with the dead and the dead can possess you. And what the nice
Oh.
little twist they did in the movie is that you getting possessed, they treated like getting high on drugs or something. So the movie was kind of like a metaphor for being like addicted to drugs and how it can affect like like a small friend group and like how like high schoolers kind of affect getting OD'd and everything like that. So it's a very original movie. The actress killed it. Her name was Sophie Wilde. The Sophie Wilde was great in the movie as the main actress. What I really also
Cool.
appreciated was the child actor. Usually child actors in horror movies, I hate them usually. Exorcist is like a good
Yeah.
like exception to the rule, but he did a great job of acting possessed, and it was a very brutal way in which the child actor acted. So hats off to him, and I hope we see him more often. And Sophie Wilde too. She was great as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, you were gonna ask a question?
That's super awesome because like kids' performances can be hit or miss. Like sometimes they just like make the character like they pack it in so that it's not too crazy and the kid can just do well with a more limited scope. So that's super cool. The kid actor to get in this movie.
Yep. The directors actually they haven't made a movie before this. Before this, they used to just make videos on YouTube. Very fun fact.
Oh, that sounds like the guys who made Everything Everywhere at Once. They were doing like music videos and posting a lot to YouTube. The Daniels. That's what they're
Right.
called.
And then David
yeah.
Sandberg, the director of Shazam, I think he also started.
Okay.
He made Lights Out, which was actually an original short, which then he got to be made into a movie, and then he made Shazam too. So cool.
Wow,
Stuff.
I didn't know that. It was crazy. Okay,
It's the new generation nowadays,
there you go. And yeah, like we'll talk. Like my bias is more towards like dramas and indie movies, so you'll see that more in my top 10. Should I go with my number 10?
Let's see what you got.
Okay, sweet. I think this will be higher on your list. So like warning, controversial pick. For me, number 10 was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
We'll talk about it later.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Tell
we'll
me
talk
why it's
about
on
it
10.
later.
I'll stay silent.
Yeah. So for me, this is an awesome movie. We'll talk more about it later. Amazing animation, good story. I think there's two things for me. One is I want to rewatch the first movie because I don't know if you want to talk about it now. Like, do you think the second or first is better, or like is that a big question?
So it's hard for me because the first one
Yeah.
is I consider it one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, period.
I really like the
Yeah.
first one. Yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll talk. I'll go more into depth with it later. It'll give me more time to think about it too. So it's a little cheating.
Okay. No. Yeah. I think I want to watch both again because in my head, I think the first is maybe a little better than second, but like maybe it's not fair. And then we all know the cliffhanger. I wanted it to just keep
Yeah.
going, and that for me knocked it down a little bit in a very tough year. But again, amazing movie. I want to rewatch it. I also want to rewatch the first movie and have a better sense of how I feel about it.
No, for sure, I get that. Like the movie's definitely higher on my list, but I can definitely see why. Like the criticisms, I understand for sure, but that's why it's
Yeah.
top 5 for each person, so it makes sense. For
And then one more thing I'll add, and we'll talk about this probably when you speak about it, but I like the soundtrack a lot. Metro Boomin did a really good job. Future did a really good job. Those were like on my playlist for 2023.
Yep.
So Spider-Man, thank you.
Yep. James Blake. Also, there's also another reason. James Blake is probably my favorite artist, so he had two really good songs in the album
He
and
did.
in the movie too.
He did. Yeah.
So for me, number 9 is John Wick 4. So yeah, it was pretty close. It was
Nice.
pretty close
Cool.
with
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
pretty
talking
close.
about. For me, like I can't believe that the 4th iteration would be my favorite. Like I'm actually very shocked by that.
Wow, let's talk. Okay,
Amongst
yeah.
all the movies, like just bringing in Donnie Yen was a masterclass, and him playing a blind martial artist like Rogue One was pretty funny. I can't believe he's done it twice.
Yeah.
He's done the same thing. But the action scenes were so good. Like and it just kept going. Like they kept one upping every action scene every time. And you know the top down, like I used to play a lot of
Yeah.
the dual analog shooters. So like you see like a top down and then you're shooting 360. So do you remember that scene where he has like the fire's breath kind of shotgun?
Yeah, yeah. We're jumping around between different
Yeah.
rooms.
And then that top
We're
down
taking out the
angle.
bad guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was so well choreographed, and it looked like you were watching like a video game. So it was very cool. And the storyline, I feel like they, they add a little bit more story than before, rather than just yeah, like I'm just gonna kill everyone because they killed my dog, which was hilarious, which was great. But I also appreciate that they actually, gave some of the supporting actors a lot more depth to it, like Donnie Yen, what's his name? In the Japanese fighter, what's his name? The father and the daughter.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
I feel like I know who it is. Sonata, yeah. So yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I had it written down. So they both crushed it, and I love having them in it, and their storylines were. I really appreciated that, and I see them trying to make some space for a spin-off and everything, and I would love it. I would love if they did it because their characters were actually really good in it. I appreciated that, and their whole universe was pretty cool. Anything for you?
Yeah, with all these movies, these John Wick movies, it's so much fun to see how they beat up John and put him in an impossible situation, and then how he gets out of it. It's just so much fun to watch. And I was worried about this movie or had like lower expectations because 3 was so good already, had a really good cast, really great set pieces, and I think 4 like lived up to the challenge and exceeded my expectations. I think some of the fight scenes I would need to check if this is true, but they felt like a little shorter and maybe more compact in like a good way than some of the ones in 3.
Yeah.
Like I remember in 3, there's a couple fights like with Halle Berry or whatnot. There's kind of like felt like it just kept going forever. But here there's good variety, and like you said, Donnie Yen was in this movie, so it wasn't like a huge drop off in cast quality. So yeah, like I was really impressed, and I hope they find a way to keep it fresh for the next one too.
Yep. I think they're still making a 5th one. Like he's contracted for a 5th one, so
Lionsgate said they signed with the director, so
I'm not sure what.
so
they're gonna
maybe
do, but, yeah.
Keanu Reeves might not be in it, but I assume they would like him to be in it.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
Oh, like keep it as like the title name, like the John Wick. Like what do they do with Harry? No, with Harry Potter they do like Wizarding World, right? So I can see them doing something similar with John Wick there as well.
They might do a prequel or something. Yeah.
No, I'll keep watching it. That universe is very cool. The bulletproof suits, that whole idea is just great. Like whoever thought of that idea, brilliant job. Like brilliant idea there. But yeah, great movie. All right, what do you got next for number 9 though?
Yeah, number 9. I have Godzilla -1.
Okay, it'll come up.
So Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you have it higher. Okay. Cool. We can talk about it then. But real quick, I'll just say this is like almost like really well done burger. No like fancy gimmicks or anything. It's just the real deal. So we'll talk about it. What's your number 9?
My number 8 for me, I think now, right? Number 8, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, number 8.
Number
yeah.
8, and this is why I was mentioning is Elemental. So yeah, not much further off than ours,
okay,
but
cool. Yeah.
no, I really love the movie. It really like resonated with me. Like when people look at the marketing, I feel like this got really screwed over by the marketing because they're just making it seem like it's just like your regular Romeo and Juliet, just with like elements instead of race. But this one, it really did like. I love the story about like being like the first generation, in America and everything like that, and having to live up to these expectations that your parents might have. But like, I really appreciated how like, no, the parents aren't thinking that way. They just want you to have a good life and stuff. So I like how they told the story, and like, I feel like the love story was more of a B story that was like marketed. I feel like they should have marketed it the way they should have, like where the A story was more marketed properly. Also because everyone was like, oh, it's a Pixar movie. It's coming to Disney Plus in like a month. But yeah, a great movie that I felt like got really dragged down by like outside external factors and everything. Also, the animation was beautiful. I heard they put a lot of money into the tech behind it, like the water effects, the cloud effects, the fire effects. Like they did a really good job with that. And I'm biased with animation and everything, so I really liked that whole like how much they invested into it. And if this is what Pixar's doing to evolve, I'm all for it. They did it with this. They did it with Turning Red, where they did a completely different style. They did it with Luca, which was also a different style. So if they keep doing this, like they'll be great.
Yeah.
Like they'll be back in no time, and they are back. I think. I think that little lull that Pixar had is kind of over now.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Like that first 30 minutes talking about the neighborhood and like the family business, I felt like I was in Queens somewhere. So that is definitely a strength of the movie that people don't talk about because yeah, I think it's usually marketed as like a love story, but there's actually an amazing immigrant story there too.
Yep, exactly. And I've heard that the story he's telling is actually the director's own story. That like this is what
He's Korean,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very-
I've
it
heard
reminded me
that too.
of Kim's Convenience a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, you know.
That me too. I was literally about to say that. I felt like I was watching Kim's Convenience, but Pixar.
Pixar. Yep,
version.
yep. Oh man, well, what do you got next for us?
Yeah, so my number 8 is All of Us Strangers. So this is like an indie drama that got some hype and then kind of faded off, but I think it's still worth checking out. So it's about a gay writer in his mid-30s living in London. He still talks to his dead parents as ghosts. And they use that plot device as a way to like talk about grief. And really for me, this was like the tearjerker of 2023. If you're looking for a movie to like just feel some way or shed a tear or just want to feel sad for like, 2 hours, like this is like 100% your movie.
Oh,
So
man.
I would say All of Us Strangers.
Gotcha.
Go check it out.
I'll definitely give that a look. I'm a sap for those kind of movies too, so I definitely get it. One of my favorite
Could be a good date night movie.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite movies was About Time. Did you watch that with Domhnall Gleeson? I'm not sure how to say his name.
No. What
He's
year?
one of
Like,
the
when was
Weasleys.
this?
I want to say it's like
Oh, cool.
2014, maybe something.
Okay,
like that.
yeah, I didn't see
It's with
this one.
Rachel McAdams
Yeah.
as well. Great story. It makes
Okay.
it seem like it's a love story in the beginning. Very elemental, like very similar to Elemental, where it's like, you think it's a love story, it's marketed as a love story, but it's more based on like family and like, about how he uses time travel to like talk with, old family members and stuff like that. It was very cool. Very cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds similar to this movie.
For me, what are we on?
7.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, nice.
Do you have that on your list?
I have it higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great movie. Scorsese. It's really nice to see Scorsese have that passion again and do something very unique that still Scorsese-like, but
Yeah.
he really spoke from the heart in this one. It really felt like there was a little passion to it that felt like it wasn't just another Scorsese movie. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh,
But
100%.
we can talk about
Yeah,
that more
yeah.
later.
Nice. Okay. My number 7. I don't think this is on your list. Maybe it's American Fiction.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk
yeah.
about it. So actually, I was having dinner with a friend and a professor from college. He was in New York City, and he kind of told us about this movie. And so this movie is also about a professor. Jeffrey Wright, I think is his name. He actually lives in Greenpoint. But anyways, he's like a actor. He is a professor of literature in this movie who writes these like esoteric novels that no one reads. And so he's just like a class professor. He just doesn't care. He's doing it for himself, and he's always fighting with other professors. But then like stuff happens in his personal life that makes him realize, crap, like what am I doing? Like his dad dies and other people die, and he's realizing, what I've actually accomplished. And then he goes to like a writing conference, and the main character, he's black. He doesn't write about like the African American experience. His novel is about like Greek mythology and whatnot. But then he goes to a talk. No one shows up to his talk at this conference. Everyone's at another talk, so he just walks over. He's like, "What's going on here?" And it's another writer who is talking. Has a novel that I think people would describe as like more stereotypically black. It's like about growing up in the inner city and whatnot. And this professor, who's the main character, just gets jealous. He's like, "I can write that too. Like, come on." And he writes this novel kind of just to say F you to like everyone who doubted him. He didn't think anyone would take it seriously. It's more just to like troll the other professors and troll the writing agents and like the writing industry. But actually, to surprise, it becomes super successful, and he keeps trying to sabotage it, but everything he does to sabotage it makes it more successful. Like, I'll go and spoil a little bit. Like, at one point, he changed the name of his book to the F word, and he thinks, okay, this will kill it. But actually, the role didn't land, and that makes it like a bestseller. So all this like weird stuff happens. There's also like some good family drama here. This wasn't like the most coherent like movie I saw last year, but it has a lot of good scenes, like an above average number of good scenes. And yeah, for that reason, and it's a new film director. His name's Cord Jefferson. Okay. He used to be like a journalist, and like this is I think his first movie. So for that reason, want to give a shout out, and I have it.
You said Jeffrey Wright wasn't the main character? Oh,
yeah, the Westworld guy.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I love him from Westworld too. I don't know if you watch. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Me too.
Awesome. Sweet. I'm definitely gonna put that on my list because I definitely want to watch that. Sounds like it actually sounds right up my alley there.
It's very funny. Yeah, I want to make sure not to bury that. It is a comedy, and you'll be laughing.
Good to hear. For me, next is Poor Things. I know we watched it together, and it was
nice.
I did not expect that movie. Like, I think I watched like maybe like half a trailer, if that, like on TV or something like that, or YouTube.
Yeah.
Did not expect that's the movie we watch, and this movie is why Barbie isn't in my top 10 because I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
this movie was very, very similar premise, but almost everything about it just felt way better done. Not that, actually, I should say way better done, but just executed a little differently, but more up my alley, I guess I would say. The humor was just great. The music, it had this little uneasy turn. Like, I love musical scores, and the way they did it was very unorthodox, but it really helped the movie to be its own. That uneasy score, that uneasy music, the cinematography was amazing. That little pinhole that they do with the camera to give you that little anxiety.
Oh,
and
yeah. That's so
right
true.
in front of your face, and makes you really feel constricted the way, you know, they're trying to make Emma Stone feel restricted too. And Emma Stone kills it. Like, I was gonna say like Lily Gladstone was a lock for Best Actress, but I don't know anymore after watching this movie. I was like, wow, this might be one of Emma Stone's greatest performances I've ever seen. And no, brilliant movie. Willem Dafoe, great as well.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, for me, I think this is a must watch just for the pure imagination. You know, like I love movies where it's like it's the director just doing his thing, and who's in the weeds, fine tuning every little point. And so if you have an open mind, like I think Poor Things is an amazing movie for that. I felt like we talked about this. I felt like some parts in the middle were like maybe like 10 minutes too long.
Yep.
It's like the Paris and the brothel scenes. I was like, it could be a little tighter. Like that wouldn't have killed it for me.
That is one of my complaints too. Yeah, about the movie.
Yeah. Small complaints, like does not sink the movie. It's just maybe something that they could have changed if I was like the producer or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you love like old Hollywood movies like Casablanca or Citizen Kane, and this I feel like is almost in the same vein. It's like the story is not like super duper complex, but how they do it is really what's special. And like you said, last year Emma Stone had a super solid year. Like I watched The Curse on Paramount Plus, and she was doing her thing in that as well. So
oh yeah, you mentioned
if
that.
you like already watched The Curse, like just go ahead and tack on Poor Things. It's like part of the Emma Stone experience.
I need to start watching that. I think right now I'm watching What We Do in the Shadows, which is hilarious. I don't know if you watch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Um,
Yeah, I saw the movie. I
We
never
watched
saw
it
the
together.
TV show, but heard
in
good things.
SF.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. Cool.
But the TV show
There
is
you
just
go.
a continuation of it. They use the same, starting credits and everything too there. But yeah, love the movie. I think everyone killed it. I just didn't. I feel like they could have done one change in the end, which I thought they were kind of telegraphing. Not trying to give spoilers away, but I guess it would have made the movie
Sure.
a little more like unnaturally happy. But it felt like it would have been nice. But yeah, overall, great movie. What's next up for you?
Yeah. Up next, we saw this together too, and this is kind of high, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
That's on my list too. A little higher.
Oh, nice.
Barely.
Okay,
Barely.
cool, sweet.
Barely. Yeah.
Okay, no. I feel better now. We'll talk about it when it comes up for you, but this was just a really awesome Marvel movie. So yeah, we'll talk more.
Yeah, for me, no, that was a brilliant movie. Love James Gunn. Oh, yeah, we can
Yeah.
talk about it, and not that in a pretty short period of time.
Okay.
My next movie is you had it on your list already, Godzilla -1. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Let's talk about
Yeah,
it.
so for me, like, I absolutely loved it. I was a huge Godzilla fan, and that's the thing. Like, it's a very subjective list. Like, I grew up with Godzilla. I used to watch like the really old black and white Godzilla versus King Kong.
No way. Wow.
I'm one of the very few people who enjoyed Godzilla '97, Roland Emmerich, but that's because I was
Okay.
5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. 4 or 5 years old at the time, so cut me some slack there. But I grew up with it, so I loved it. Like Shin Godzilla, I liked the one with the Rogue One director who directed one of the Godzillas with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Bryan
Oh yeah,
Cranston.
he did the first
Yeah.
one, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
the first one. I love Godzilla King of Monsters too. But what I really love about this movie was just like the human aspect of it. Like the way they
Yeah.
bring in like the PTSD that the main character is feeling. It's that human element, like even if you got rid of Godzilla and this was just a straight up like World War II drama, this would still probably be on my
Yeah.
top 10 list. And yeah, I feel like I'm gushing about this, I'll let you go.
No, I was gonna say it's cliche, but sometimes simplicity is the ultimate complexity. And I feel like the American Godzilla movies, like they try and chuck in a lot, like, oh, here's like Godzilla's enemy. Oh, we're gonna travel to Antarctica to get this thing, and then come back and do this other thing. Which is like a fun movie, but what I love of this movie, it just like keeps it simple. Like we're trying to take down this like sea monster. What's going on? How do we develop some way to beat this thing that we can't beat? And just keep it focused and like just right on World War II in Japan. This is just like a really well done steak. This is just like one thing that did it really well, and yeah, I encourage people to see it.
Oh man, it's so good. Oh man, the atomic
Yeah.
like, every movie's it's like, oh, how do they do the Godzilla atomic breath here? This one was amazing. Like you really felt the brutality
Yeah.
of it, like what Godzilla does to Tokyo, and like the atomic breath where they bring like the acid rain down, or what, I don't know, the nuclear rain where it's like raining like dark and black and everything like that. And the
Yeah.
main actor, oh my god, his performance was, I was crying like during so many scenes in that movie, and like the ending, like
Yeah.
huge tearjerker. And yeah, it's, I gotta watch it in black and white. I gotta watch it before it goes away again in black and white. So, no, brilliant movie.
Yeah. They nailed the ending too.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly,
Nice. Yeah. My number 5 was Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we can talk about
Nice,
that.
nice.
For me, like, just for the historical context, I think this movie is worth watching. Even if you don't love the movie itself, just knowing about the story about this Native American tribe that was like one of the most wealthy like groups of people in the United States in like the early 1920s, just so fascinating. I think it's really good watching a poster review about this movie, which I agree with. A lot of this movie is like kind of boring and like lacks tension, which is kind of unfortunate because apparently the book, I didn't read it. Apparently the book is super thrilling. It's like a mystery, like who's killing these people and who's the bad guy. In this movie, they do a weird thing where it's like they tell you at the very beginning, like Robert De Niro just tells Leonardo DiCaprio, "Hey, like, would you want to marry this person and we can take their money?" Like, there's no real like suspense there. So I thought that was like a little bit strange. But I mean, if you're into like goats making movies like on all sides of the camera, from like the costume, the sets, the director, the camera work, the actors, like they're all really amazing in this movie. And so I'm honestly looking forward to watching it again and just catching small things like I didn't catch the first time. Like there's a scene where Lily Gladstone's character, her mom dies, and actually some of the Native American gods come talk to her and go with her into the afterlife. And I think when I watched the movie, I didn't catch that nuance. I thought it was just some random Native American person talking to the mom, but it was actually meant to be like her dying. And then also the ending, which is like, I know people have different opinions about it. I thought it was cool just because, again, if you're like a history nerd, that there was actually like a radio story about these killings of the Osage people, and that's how people knew about it back in the day.
Gotcha.
And so they was depicting that. I feel like when I watched the movie, I didn't realize that Martin Scorsese was like breaking fourth wall and talking about like the history of it and like his own conflicted feelings about being a white person making a movie about this. So yeah, for me, like, not a perfect movie, but like there was just so many interesting things that I had to put at number 5.
Yeah, no, I definitely get it. That's what I was saying. Like, this is Scorsese. Like, this kind of passion from Scorsese was amazing. Like, and him, yeah, like him giving that speech at the end. Like, you could see him tearing up too. And it sucks because he was kind of mentioning, he's like, he's just like, I'm as like a white person doing this movie, and it's like, man, but because he's doing this movie, now it's getting that kind of exposure and everything. But
Yeah, that's right.
But Lily Gladstone absolutely killed it. What a great job by her. And yeah, all around just great movie. I love the passion from it. This wasn't like your typical Scorsese movie. There's definitely some like anger in it. There's some anger in it. There's some like, frustration in it towards like, the past government and everything like that. So, just brilliant movie, and I loved everything about it. And again, it's just lower because of this year and personal biases, to be honest. So, like,
Sure.
towards different types of movies and stuff like that. So great movie.
All right, number 4.
Number
Yeah,
4,
no worries.
Holdovers. I know you didn't watch it, right?
Yeah, I didn't see it, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
Freaking AMC.
Honestly, I would say like just wait till Christmas time again to watch it. Wait until then.
Okay.
For like maybe
Okay.
maybe like a snowy day. I think honestly, it is a very feel good, great, funny movie. Paul Giamatti deserves an Oscar. Give My Big Fat Liar an Oscar for this because he did an amazing job. There's this guy, I think his name's Cesse. I don't know how to pronounce it. Cesse. He was a first-time actor. I think they found him like as a student within the actual school that they filmed it in, like a drama school student or something. And he did an amazing job. And like just the connection him and Paul Giamatti had was like great. The actress, I forgot what her name is.
Yeah, I saw she got nominated for a Golden Globe, I think.
Randolph.
Maybe
Last name
Academy
Randolph. So yeah, she got nominated for an Oscar, which is well deserved too.
Oh, cool.
That was the thing.
Nice.
Like, I don't know how to like who I would kick off to give Margot that nomination. Because there's just so many strong performances.
You wouldn't kick off Carey Mulligan?
Carey Mulligan, I liked. I know it's not in my
Okay.
top movies, but the performances were really good in that movie. Bradley Cooper did a great job too in that. I love movie scores, so there's a little personal bias there, and it was just kind of sad that it's not in my top 10 then too, or even honorable mention. But no, their performances were great. Yeah, I guess if I had to take someone out, it would probably be Carey Mulligan from the list. I would say.
Yeah, yeah, just prodding you. I was, see
You
if
got
there's
the soundbite.
any
You got the
crack in the
soundbite.
defense we can sneak in
Yeah.
Margot.
Well, that's like it. Like that's the thing. Like once you've already
Yeah. Yeah.
not once you've already given it, but it's more just, you know, I don't fault. I would say I don't really fault the whoever nominated them for nominating who they have over Margot, because it's just a stacked year this year. And I would say, yeah, supporting actress wasn't as stacked as lead actress was this year too. Same thing with leading actor. I'm trying to think. Like honestly, my favorite acting performance for me personally was the actor from Godzilla. So
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah,
dude, I think we need to do an Oscars episode.
we should. We should. That'd be cool. Like right before.
Yeah, give our reaction.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, right before, give predictions.
So
yeah,
down for
yeah,
that.
we gotta do it.
So down for that. But yeah, dude, you should watch it. It's a very feel good movie in a list of movies that, you know, very not feel good, to be honest. So it's very nice. It also feels like a 90s movie. Like they used a lot of like digital, you know, film artifacts and stuff to make it seem dated. But it felt like a 90s movie about the 70s, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, and like one thing I'll say, I love Alexander Payne. Like I know he's been kind of in a rut the last like 5-10 years, but like Up in the Air, Juno, that George Clooney movie in Hawaii, I think is also Alexander Payne. There's some real gems there. So I'm glad to see him doing well again, and I can't wait to see this movie.
What movie? A George Clooney movie in Hawaii? I'm actually not sure. Now I want to know.
It's called not The Holdovers, but the I could Google it. I'm pretty sure it's Alexander Payne. Did you see this one? I guess not. The Descendants.
Oh right, I heard about. I didn't watch it. I really want to. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you
That's
should
with
watch
George
it.
Clooney? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's George Clooney and Abigail Shailene. Is that her name? I'm getting her name wrong. Shailene Woodley.
Oh, Shailene Woodley,
Anyways,
okay.
yeah. It's a pretty good movie. I don't think I don't think it'll be as good as Holdovers or Up in the Air, but you should definitely watch it.
Cool. Will do.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
All right, this is a curveball. I don't know if you even heard this movie, but I saw it last year, so and I thought it was really great. So I gave it a high ranking. It's a movie called Return to Seoul. So this is like an indie movie. It didn't get a wide release, but they did show it in New York City in March. And the way one critic put it, which I really liked, was this was the best movie of 2022 that no one saw. And so they got like a small release in 2023, so I'm putting it on this list. But basically, this movie is about a French woman who's actually who's adopted from South Korea as a baby. And the movie is about her going back to South Korea, and you think it's about like someone finding herself and finding her like biological family, and it's about that. But then the movie actually jumps around to whenever she returns back to South Korea, and every time she comes back, she's like a different person. And like all of us in our 20s, we're going through a process of reinvention. We move around. I know you and I moved around from San Francisco to New York City, and I also really like the Rotten Tomato summary of this movie, which is sensitively attuned to his protagonist's quest, Return to Seoul uses one woman's story to explore universal truths about the human condition. It's like such an epic like Rotten Tomatoes summary, but also like that's what the movie's about. It's about reinvention and how we do that, and I thought it was like really good, and just wanted to give a shout out.
Very cool. You know what's funny? Like you've had a lot of like much less known movies that I've never heard of. So this is fun. You gave me a lot to put on my list for this year, especially because of the writer's strike. I know I'm gonna need more movies to watch, so this is good.
There you go.
On my list next.
All right, we're in the top 3.
We're on top 3 now. Oh my god. Well,
Yeah,
to start off top 3, it's Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for me.
there you go.
Man, this is such a great movie.
So good.
The soundtrack was amazing. I know number 2, not a lot of people like Volume 2, but they really brought it back with Volume 3. That the acoustic version of Creep, amazing, and then the ending song, I forgot, like, you know, what's her name?
Run Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irish person. Florence the Machine.
Yeah, Florence and the Machine. So
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
great way to end it. Like, I remember I was tearing up a little at the end, especially with like how happy it was, but you know it's the end. And I also felt like it was like a conclusion to James Gunn's, you know, MCU career too, in a way, like, or pretty long break, pretty long hiatus if he ever comes back. Just brilliant acting all around. Each cast member of the Guardians got their own moment to shine, which was lovely. Like little things that they did for the fans. So like, you know, honestly, maybe it's not the best movie, or maybe not even the best 3, like for, you know, people, but like they definitely did a lot of moves for the fans there. Like giving, like, for example, like giving Drax that thing with his family. Like they always made him seem like a goofball, but here he's like he found another family with like all the children that were orphaned and everything like that. So
Yeah.
Groot being able to like speak a little, like I like the little thing the wink James Gunn did where it's like he is still saying I am Groot, but you can understand him now, like the way the other cast members can understand him. So that was cool.
Right.
Rocket Story, just amazing. Bradley Cooper killed it. Chris Pratt killed it too.
Love that.
Like one scene,
Yeah.
there was one scene where he had his moment to shine, and he's shown. I'm gonna stop gushing. I'll let you go.
No, like I think we love this movie for like the exact same reasons. Just awesome stories, very funny. Like Poor Things for me, like just amazing imagination. They land on that planet with a villain where it's like looks kind of like humanity, but it's not humans. But like that's why it's so interesting. The villain was kind of like a secondary thought, but like, hey, that's totally okay. Like I think the struggles here were not just arrived from taking down the villain. It was like a variety of different kinds of struggles, and I love the ending too, and that soundtrack. I was jamming out to it for a long time afterwards. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of this movie.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm like, dude. Disney shot themselves in the foot by firing him. What was it, in 2018 or 2017? Whenever the whole drama happened, because the fact that he's the only one who I feel like is doing something truly creative on the movie front with Marvel nowadays. Like Loki's great.
Yeah.
I think Loki's also pretty good, but like outside of that, where's the like I don't know what I'm looking forward to in the Marvel universe anymore. And like I'm very excited about the DC universe now because like the casting they've done for Superman is great. They got the Lois is Mrs. Maisel from Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's very cool. I'm really looking forward to Superman Returns, and it's really sad to know that there's not that excitement with the MCU that much anymore. But James Gunn killed it. Peacemaker's also great. I don't know if you watch Peacemaker, but yeah.
I didn't watch Peacemaker, but I like Suicide Squad, the one that James.
Yeah,
Gunn
it's a
made.
direct sequel. The Peacemaker thing is a direct sequel to that, so it's really
Okay, cool.
But yeah, the music, everything hit well. The cinematography was great. The special effects were great. Oh man, like I can't like. There was a moment where I thought this would be my favorite movie of the year, but there's two more that's coming up that are pretty big, heavy hitters.
It's a really good one. We saw it together, and I think we both left it knowing that this is going to be in our top 10 list.
Yep, 100%. What's your number 3?
Number 3. For me, number 3 is a movie called Zone of Interest, which I think like was out for a while, but then started screening a little bit, and then actually got a nomination for Best Picture. So I think it's been like more successful than the people who made it thought it might be, or like people who were just watching the industry thought it'd be. But this movie is pretty crazy, and like I'll tell you why. So it has a lot of parallels to Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay.
Because it's like about the story follows someone named Rudolf Haas, who is actually the guy who oversaw Auschwitz, which is obviously one of the worst concentration camps during World War II and the Holocaust. And according to Wikipedia, this guy Rudolf oversaw the killing of 1 million people. So he's pretty evil. This is like worst of the worst when it comes to humanity. But this movie is about him and his family who just living their lives in a house outside of a concentration camp. And this movie really dives deep into the banality of that evil. Like they were kind of like bratty people who were living outside this camp, and they're worried about like how's my garden looking, or are the servants doing the right thing, and are just totally ignoring the evil like right outside the doorstep. And this is just like a very dark film, which again makes it like surprising me that like it got a release. It surprised me that it got like an Oscar nom, because this is like not a very conventional movie. But like I think it has a lot of good things going for it in the sense that like it's less than 2 hours long. So like Killers of the Flower Moon is like 3.5 hours, or like however long the movie is. It's like super long. This one's like a more focused artistic statement. And yeah, I would say like it's definitely more art than drama. But this is pretty unique. I feel like I'm still processing it, but I think overall I have to give it number 3 of the year for me. This is a very interesting movie, and I think we'll keep talking about it because it got that Oscar nom.
Got you. Okay, I'll definitely watch that before we ever do this Oscars video. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. One of my favorite movies was Schindler's List. So, okay.
Oh wow, I haven't seen that one.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, who do you think's more evil, Ralph Fiennes from Schindler's List or this guy? So
Oh, interesting.
definitely give that a look. Beautiful movie. Like
Okay, yeah, maybe I should watch it. Yeah.
Boy in the Striped Pajamas as well is pretty good. Like I feel like it's not similar, but it's a similar idea where like you see like a family right outside the concentration camp and how they are. But yeah, definitely give that a watch too. I think you'll resonate with that, especially after watching Zone of Interest. Zone of Interest, right?
Yes,
Got you,
right.
got you. Yeah, you told me about that. You said you went to watch it like recently, right? So I was like,
Well, it's funny. This is the movie I saw because Holdovers wasn't in theaters. Like I had mentally allocated that time for a movie,
right.
and I was like, "Wait, I can't do Holdovers." Well, people are talking about this movie, so maybe I'll check it out. And yeah, it just kind of blew me away. Just like again, very different, very unique.
Very cool.
Yeah, more art than drama. Yeah,
I gotta watch that. I'm so down. Number 2 for me is Oppenheimer.
very nice.
Very nice. Okay.
That appears on my list a little bit later.
Yeah, yeah. This is the fun part about doing a top 10 where two people.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then you can probably guess what my number 1 is then too. So, yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. I have a feeling.
So I guess we'll leave Oppenheimer till later. What was your number 2?
Number 2, I give it to Past Lives.
Yep.
It just felt like a solid 2023 movie. It's a international movie. It's like a Korean movie, but also it's a New York City story. It has drama, but it also has like comedic relief. The main character's husband's pretty funny. And yeah, I didn't cry during this movie, but I know a lot of people did. So it can be a tearjerker for some people. It can just be thought-provoking for some people. But yeah, I just love the main message of thinking about like different pathways in life and what could have been. And like I think also there's some truth about like once we have something good or like maybe a past romantic relationship, like the half-life of that can be forever. It doesn't mean you get over it like the next day.
Yep.
I think this movie does a really courageous job of really tackling that head on. So for me, it felt like it was almost movie of the year, just like a really good story that a lot of people saw, and I wanted to give it number 2.
No, yeah, it's actually a very brilliant movie. I also felt bad because she didn't get nominated either, and she did an amazing
right.
job. Like she did an absolutely incredible job, and like yeah, that walk at the end was just like, oh, that the physical acting there was just so good, and no, everything was great about it. Like again, it's on my honorable mentions list, and it's not on my list just because there's this person like I just enjoy other types of movies more at the end of the day, but
Sure.
like
Yeah.
absolutely
No
great movie. I did tear up at the end too, and like one of the many probably. Just it's a great movie, and I think my wife resonated a lot with it because she actually did the similar journey coming to Canada first, then to New York and everything. So she might have differing opinions about that too. So yeah, excellent, brilliant movie there.
Yeah, and it's also like a millennial movie. Like they're talking over Skype, and we're hearing like the Skype noise. So it's cool to see like that experience make it to the big screen. Too.
Oh, I like how they kept it true to like the time period when they did it. Like I think that was like during like the 90s or 2000s. No, like yeah, like
Yep.
the 2000s era. So that was pretty cool. Like they were able to date that properly. Very good attention to detail, and it's such like a small scaled movie that was executed so brilliantly. So definitely understand why it's on your top 2. You want to say your number 1 then at that point? Or...
Okay, so I think we both know each other's number 1.
Yeah.
My number 1's Oppenheimer, and yours is
Spider-Verse.
There you go.
So I guess you want to talk about Oppenheimer first or Spider-Verse?
I'll let you go.
Oh yeah, because we both have Oppenheimer. That makes So for me, Spider-Verse is my number 1, honestly, because like again, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Growing up, like I grew up with like the 94, like the one that was on Fox a long time ago. So that kind of like
I
that
don't think I ever
that
saw
indoctrinated. Oh, that's the best animated show you can watch. If you need to watch like I still to this day think of that as like my Peter, like in a way like the quintessential Peter. Amazing but this movie is just amazing. Like I'm a huge. I'll give you the reasons. One, huge Spider-Man fan. This was executed amazing. The humor was lovely. Like the family aspect was incredible. The art style, the music, like everything was so brilliantly executed that like I just can't get it out of my head. Like just watching the colors and like every universe having its own art style. Like Gwen's universe being very like watercolor style, right? Miles is more your traditional comic book style. The what's it called? The New York, India.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's referred to as.
Mumbai, Bombay. Yeah, forget the name.
That art style was amazing. The spot went from like this funny little, quote unquote villain, like street villain, to like this, what's the word? This, like, what's
dimension
bending
like,
thing, like very
yeah.
Lovecraftian kind of style, like, cosmic kind of horror stuff that they did with that. Just, it's amazing. Like, I can totally understand why other people won't have it, but for me, like, the action was amazing. The whole son-father story and daughter-father story with Gwen was great too. And I think, like, for me, what made me go like, you know what? I understand there's a part one and there's a cliffhanger, but there was a proper conclusion. There was a proper story arc where if you consider Gwen as like the main actor of this movie, and that's kind of what I feel it as, like, you know, where
Okay.
the movie started with her and the movie ended with her. So
Yep.
I really appreciated that. I really appreciated them giving her that screen time, giving her that, you know, time to shine, because I'm assuming the third movie will be about, you know, closing out Miles' arc. But Gwen's arc was beautiful in this movie, and oh man, I just loved it. That's a great movie. But yeah, that's how I felt about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's an awesome movie. I want to rewatch the first one compared to the second one. But yeah, we mentioned earlier about the soundtrack and the animation, and there's just so much to like about this movie. No hate putting it later on the list. There's a lot of movies that came out this year, but when is the third one coming out? Is it next year, or do we know?
There's no, I don't think it's going to come out for 2 years.
Oh,
from now.
interesting.
Yeah, because
oh wow, okay.
there was a lot of like there was a little controversy. They said that like the animators were worked really like off hours and stuff, like late hours.
Oh, wow.
They were put on a little crunch and everything like that. So I think they're trying to alleviate that by giving it like a longer time to, you know, progress and everything. So I don't think we're going to see it for a couple years at least. Hopefully, it will be worth the wait. But yeah, the animation, I'm a stick. Like, I love animation movies. Like, one thing that always stuck by me was like Guillermo del Toro, when he won for Pinocchio. He's like, you know, animation is cinema too. You know, and like this movie is like
right.
that definition of like, this is art. Like, you could take any scene from this movie and hang it up on the wall, and it would be considered art. Like, I love the upside down New York they did with them like two sitting down, Gwen and Miles.
Oh yeah.
So very 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 cool. And like James Blake again killed it. Metro killed it. So yeah. Yeah, that's a great movie. That's my movie of the year. You want to move on to yours?
Let's do it. Oppenheimer. And like, in some ways, this gets top billing for me because I think there was a lot of hype of what this movie could be. And it actually met the hype and maybe even exceeded in some ways, which I think is really hard because expectations are super high for a Christopher Nolan film. And then you tack on Robert Downey Jr. and everything else. And I feel like I didn't like Tenet that much.
Yeah. I mean,
so I wasn't sure how good this would be, but for me, this was like a 5-course meal. It was like an amazing historical story. I actually read the whole book. It's like a 600-page book, which really surprised me. I think it's the longest book I've read after college. And it was basically like, okay, you know, I'll probably get halfway and stop. But every time I picked up the book, I just got into it. I'm like, this is really fascinating. So I thought it was an amazing historical story. Really good visuals from a master director. I know we enjoyed watching it, and I think 70 millimeters is the term, in IMAX. So that was super cool. Good supporting cast. Like, Matt Damon's doing his thing as Leslie Grove. Like, I didn't know Matt Damon still had good movies in him. I've just kind of written him off mentally, but he was kind of like a sturdy presence in the movie. So I appreciated that. And I think this is like a maybe very unpopular opinion, but I love the third act. I love like the bureaucratic battle between like Robert Downey Jr.'s character and Oppenheimer. And I think for a lot of people they thought it was boring or whatnot, but for me, those kinds of movies like The Social Network or the third act of this movie, very word heavy, but like they're dueling over words. Like, I find that to be so engaging and satisfying. So yeah, for me, this just like met the hype, and I gotta give it to number one. Just and also with Barbenheimer, it was a full experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I watched it the same weekend too. It was an amazing experience. Honestly, dude, I was going back and forth with Across the Spider-Verse and Oppenheimer for a while. Like, I didn't know what to pick. It was very hard to do it. But no, I agree on all fronts. And this was the movie I went to watch the most in theaters. I think I watched it 4 times, all in Lincoln Square.
Holy
in
cow.
Lincoln Square, by the way,
Wow.
too. Yeah.
Holy cow!
And every time I watched it, every time I still loved it. Like, it was. I could go again. Like, if you told me like tomorrow, like, hey, they're showing it in Lincoln Square again. Do you want to go? I'll be like, hell yeah! Like, absolutely, let's go. It is that kind of movie, and just the way they make sitting in a classroom for 20 minutes, or you know, a congressional or a senatorial like, I don't know what it's considered, a congressional hearing and everything,
Yeah.
and you know, creating the bomb, like how Nolan was able to like really engross you in that is, you know, like a masterclass. Like, no, who would expect to get excited by just, you know, congressional hearings or a trial, like in a little room, you know, with like 5-6 people inside of it. Like,
I see.
no, Emily Blunt did an incredible job. Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Cillian Murphy, just like an all around, every single person came to bat in this movie. And
Yeah.
also the direction. Like, one thing I noticed, I don't know, like little small details that Nolan did. The music, oh my god, how do you say his name? Goranson? Just so
Yeah.
powerful, and especially in, you know, the IMAX theater, like just blasting. You know that scene where it's just like, hey, like, you know, the professor gives him advice to like go explore Europe or something, and you see him like
Yep.
calculating everything in his brain, like
Yep.
how he made that scene where so engrossing was very cool. And then like the scene where after the bomb drops and like he's talking with the people in the auditorium and you hear like the feet shuffling. So one little fun fact, like, and every scene where he's like, "Do you regret, making the bomb?" In the background, Nolan puts in the feet shuffling sound inside of it. So it's like a nice little attention to detail and stuff like that. Like, just
Yeah.
very well made. And I totally get why it's like your movie of the year. It's number 2, but by very small margin for me. And honestly, I think it's my bias that puts it ahead of Oppenheimer at the end of the day. So
All good.
just amazing movie that caps off like an amazing year for movies. But yeah,
And we get to see Einstein on big screen.
Oh man, anything else to add for the movie or?
No, man, we covered a lot. This was an awesome
No.
top 10 and honorable mention experience.
No, this is really fun with you. I hope we do this again. Yeah, let's keep doing this. And for anyone who's listening, like, this is a little creative outlet for us. We always wanted to do something like this, and we finally figured out a reason to do it. And hope you guys enjoy. Hope like these recommendations work out for you. And you actually stuck through this entire. How long has this been? Over an hour. So thank you for that.
And if you made it this far, should we ask, like, hit like and subscribe?
Yeah, hit like or subscribe.
Comment if something resonated.
Whether it's through podcasts or whether it's through what do you call it, YouTube, whatever the case may be.
YouTube,
So,
yeah.
We really appreciate it. Hope you guys support our little creative endeavor.
Cheers.
All right, cheers. Have a good one, guys. See you.